Before I get into the review, I just want to talk about DC Compacts real quick because I've heard a few complaints. And the two most common ones I've heard is that some of the lettering is kind of small. I don't know if I can find an example real quick. But for me personally, it doesn't really bother me. I haven't really noticed until someone pointed it out. But I can still read it no problem. And another complaint too is that some of the speech bubbles will go into the binding. I've seen that happen, I guess, a couple times, but it's something that doesn't really bother me. I'm just letting everyone know just in case that does bother you. 'Cause to me personally, I never even noticed until people started pointing it out. And I also like how the compacts tell you the genre up here at the top. I thought that was a nice touch. I just really enjoyed that. But anyways, All Star Superman is my first Superman comic. I really like it when the S is on the back. And even though this is my first comic of Superman, I have watched the animated series. Oh wait, let me just show. Okay, I just want to make sure. I have seen the animated series, like Superman and Justice League, so I do have a good idea of the character. So to me, this was a good place to start because I understand most of the references. There is one reference in here that I didn't understand, but that's pretty much it. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed this story a lot. This is about Superman's last year because he got hit with solar radiation, too much radiation for his own cells to handle, and now it's killing him. It was all part of Lex Luthor's plan. And one thing that I gotta say is that this story really captures the essence of finding out that you have a small amount of time to live. Because when Superman first heard that he was about to die after a year, you could tell Superman doesn't really think much of it, and I didn't even think much of it either, because I was just like, yeah, I thought something was going to happen at the end of the story to help him out with it. But as the story continues, Superman starts to sweat a little bit more. You notice he gets a little bit more tired, and he actually kind of struggles to lift certain things. And it was halfway through the story where I started to realize that Superman really is going to die. And as the story continues on, you start to feel that more and more. And I thought it was just well done. It just really made me feel that the end was near. Like the closer we got to the end of this, I really felt it. And I don't want to spoil too much about this because I do think some of it should be experienced on your own. I'll let you all know if I'm about to throw out any big spoilers. I'll try not to. But this also has one of my favorite Superman and Lex moments. The exchange that they have at the end. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it because I think it's that good that you should experience yourself. Right here, this is a good example though, because I actually watched the animation of the movie after I finished reading this, and the movie cuts out a lot, pretty much the best parts. Like all of this isn't shown, or this part either. And I personally think, as good as the movie is, I much prefer the comic. Like I said, it cuts out the best parts of it. And like I was saying before, Lex has some really good moments in this. Lex and Superman, I struggle a lot to decide who's my favorite between the two. And man, Lex has incredible lines in this story. Even Clark and Lex have their own moments together, which I really enjoyed. The thing that the animation cut out from this that I really enjoyed was, well, it actually cut out the Black Kryptonite stuff, which is another thing to me that was kind of crazy that got cut. I really enjoyed that part too. But also, they cut out all the Bizarro stuff that happens in here. And I'm kind of familiar with Bizarro. I know who he is. But I didn't know how the Bizarro world worked and how in depth it really was. And this comic gives you a really good showing of how it is in the Bizarro world, and it really does suck out there. It's awful. This is the one where Lex is in prison and Clark goes to interview him. Really good chapter. Everything with Lex was amazing. Look at that face. And yeah, I just really enjoyed everything that was in this. Like I said, I'm trying not to spoil too much. I have read the story through twice, so I could really understand what was going on in here. And there is a chapter that's really good with the writing. I think it's issue number 6, where it's actually with Clark and his parents on the farm. And rereading that chapter really showed me how much setup was really put into this. And I don't even want to talk about it too much because I want everyone to experience it for themselves. Like I said, it was a good example of how good it is. For me personally, this is where the story reached its peak for me. This is as emotional as I got while reading this, which is weird. The ending of this story was really sad too, but this all of this here got me. I really enjoyed everything that has to do with Smallville. But like I said, this is just such a good story, and like I don't want to spoil it anything too much, but like everything with around this character was very well set up. I'm actually going to skip ahead because I don't want to reveal anything. But here's the Bizarro world. Superman getting pushed into it. The Cube world. Really sick. Like this comic was just such an amazing read. I would definitely rate it, if I had to rate it, probably 9 out of 10 or an A tier. Like I said, it's really good story, but it didn't exactly blow me away, and I'm still waiting for that story to completely like blow my mind in every way. And like I was saying, I don't know much about the Bizarro world until I went over it in this story. But I wanted to say, because something about James Gunn is we know that he likes to introduce characters that no one's ever heard of, really really weird characters. And as I was reading through this a second time, we're introduced to Zabaro, who is kind of like a perfect copy of Bizarro's. They consider him imperfect, but he's a Bizarro that can understand speech. He's capable of his own thought and opinions, and like I said, he's the only one who has a real consciousness. So around in this world of Bizarros, he's pretty much left alone and an outcast. And I can see James Gunn turning that clone Superman into Zabaro to, to get a different kind of character out there. I gotta say, this story was really good. And I think I was saying this already, but this is probably going to be my top Superman story for probably a long time. I don't really see anything topping it. But yeah, like I said, I really enjoy this story. I read it twice so I can completely understand the ending. But the ending is totally up for your own interpretation. It was left up that way, which I kind of like. This is a one-off story. This is one and done. There is no continuation. I have seen people say that they think this Superman goes on to become the 1 million Superman or something. There's like a Superman that gets super powered by the sun, which is similar that happens to this story. People have theorized that that's the same one, but it's been confirmed that this is where this Superman story ends. It's just a one-off story, but I still really enjoyed it. Actually enjoyed it a lot. It really captures Superman's character well, and it really helps you understand him. Anyways, like I said, that's the review of my first Superman comic. I enjoyed this so much. It was just a really good read and a good place for me personally to start. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope I didn't spoil too much. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Laters.